Have you ever laid in bed at night wondering if the food you're eating is quietly destroying your kidneys? Even the foods everyone told you were safe, because if you have, you're not alone. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and every week I meet patients who follow all the rules, yet their creatinine keeps rising, their GFR keeps falling, and they can't understand why their body is slipping toward danger. What most people don't realize is that kidney decline rarely announces itself with pain or loud symptoms. It sneaks up silently, meal by meal, bite by bite, and by the time you feel something is wrong, the damage is already underway. That's why so many Americans, over 37 million of them, are living with kidney disease and don't even know it until their lab results send them into panic. But here's the part no one tells you. It's not just what you eat, it's the specific choices you make inside each food group that decide whether your kidneys get weaker or stronger. And when it comes to meat, one of the most confusing topics in kidney health, the truth is shocking. Some meats flood your bloodstream with toxins that push you closer to dialysis, while others, when chosen and cooked the right way, can actually protect your kidneys, lower inflammation, stabilize creatinine, and help your body repair itself in ways you may have never imagined. So before you cut out foods you love or panic about your future, stay with me, because I'm about to show you the 3 most kidney-safe meats that can help you regain control of your numbers and rebuild your confidence one meal at a time. And understanding this difference could be the turning point your kidneys have been waiting for, guiding you from fear into clarity as we move into the first and most essential choice you can make. When we talk about kidney-safe meats, we have to start with the one that almost every patient underestimates: skinless chicken breast. It may look plain, simple, even boring, but for someone living with kidney disease, it's one of the cleanest sources of protein your body can use without drowning your kidneys in toxic byproducts. I've lost count of how many patients walked into my office terrified of protein, terrified of meat, terrified of making their numbers worse until they learned how to use chicken breast the right way. And one of them was a man named Robert, a 61-year-old truck driver whose creatinine kept climbing even though he had already cut out red meat entirely. He told me, "Doc, I'm doing everything right. Why am I still getting worse?" The truth was simple. He wasn't eating too much protein. He was eating the wrong kind, cooked the wrong way. See, in just 100 grams of skinless chicken breast, you get 31 grams of clean, low-waste protein packed with all the essential amino acids your muscles need to stay strong. That's crucial because when kidney patients lose muscle, and they do fast, the breakdown products spill into the bloodstream and push creatinine even higher. Chicken breast, unlike fattier meats, produces far less nitrogen waste, meaning your kidneys don't have to work overtime filtering out the leftover toxins. This is one of the reasons countless studies consistently show that lean poultry helps stabilize GFR rather than accelerate decline. And it gets even better. Inside that single portion, you also get vitamin B6 to help lower homocysteine, selenium to reduce inflammation, and iron in its most absorbable form, an absolute lifeline for patients battling anemia. But here's where most people go wrong, and this might surprise you. Even the healthiest meat can become harmful if you cook it the wrong way. High heat grilling, deep frying, or those crispy golden edges we all love can create ages and heterocyclic amines, tiny molecular villains that stiffen your blood vessels and scar delicate kidney tissue. That's why the safest way to prepare chicken breast is gentler than you might expect, simmering at low heat, baking between 350 and 375 degrees, or using a simple acidic marinade with lemon or apple cider vinegar to dramatically cut toxin formation. This is exactly what I told Robert: to do nothing extreme, nothing fancy. Within 6 weeks, his creatinine nudged downward, his energy returned, and he looked at me and said, "Doc, I didn't know something so small could make such a big difference." And here's the important part for you: if you stick to 3 to 4 ounces per meal, no skin, no deep frying, and no sodium-packed supermarket marinades, chicken breast becomes one of the safest, most kidney-friendly proteins you can put on your plate. It nourishes your muscles, steadies your numbers, and gives your kidneys a chance to breathe one meal at a time. But remember, understanding chicken breast is only step 1. The real story gets more complicated as we move forward, because not all lean meats play by the same rules, and the next type might surprise you with how easily it can turn from helpful to harmful. But knowing this alone isn't enough because there's another factor far more dangerous and far more misunderstood that you absolutely need to hear before your next meal. If chicken breast is the quiet hero of kidney-safe eating, then pork tenderloin is the misunderstood one. The meat most patients fear at first glance, but end up relying on once they understand how it really works. And I get it. When people hear pork, they immediately think grease, salt, and danger. But pork tenderloin is a completely different story, and one of my patients, Linda, proved that better than anyone. She came to me exhausted, pale, and convinced she had to give up every food she loved. Her creatinine had jumped from 1.9 to 2.3 in just 4 months, and she blamed the occasional pork meal her family cooked on Sundays. But when I asked how it was prepared, she laughed nervously and said, "Well, we fry it until it screams." And right there was the real problem. Because the truth is, pork tenderloin is one of the leanest cuts you can choose, delivering about 22 grams of clean low-fat protein per 100 grams protein that helps preserve muscle without flooding your kidneys with nitrogen waste. Unlike fattier pork cuts that generate high levels of creatinine byproducts, tenderloin produces significantly less metabolic strain, which is critical when your kidneys are already struggling to stay ahead. Scientifically, it's also rich in heme, iron, zinc, and selenium, 3 nutrients repeatedly shown in clinical studies to reduce inflammation, improve antioxidant defenses, and stabilize kidney markers in patients with early to moderate CKD. This is why, when used correctly, pork tenderloin can actually support recovery instead of sabotaging it. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Pork tenderloin is only safe when you remove the traps that silently turn it into a kidney threat. High heat frying, heavy seasoning, sugary barbecue sauces, and especially processed versions like cured smoked or pre-marinated tenderloin are loaded with phosphate preservatives and sodium that spike blood pressure, harden blood vessels, and accelerate kidney decline. When I explained this to Linda, she looked stunned. She wasn't harming herself because of pork. She was harming herself because of how the pork was cooked. So we switched her to a simple routine trimming, all visible fat, rinsing the meat, baking it at 350 degrees, and using lemon, rosemary, and garlic as the marinade. In just 2 months, her creatinine dipped back to 2.0, her swelling reduced, and her energy returned. She told me I didn't realize something so comforting could also be safe when done right. And that's the message I want you to hear. Pork tenderloin, when portioned at 3 to 4 ounces and cooked gently, becomes a kidney-friendly alternative that's satisfying without being dangerous. It gives you protein stability, better energy, and a level of dietary freedom most patients think they've lost forever. But as reassuring as that sounds, our journey isn't over. Because the next type of meat isn't just beneficial, it carries a nutritional power that can either protect your kidneys like a shield or overwhelm them if you're not careful. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another factor far more dangerous and far more misunderstood that you absolutely need to hear before your next meal. And that brings us to the final meat on this list, one that's far more powerful, far more nutrient-dense, and far more misunderstood than most people realize: salmon. If pork tenderloin teaches us how cooking methods can change everything, then salmon teaches us how a single food can act like medicine or turn into silent damage if handled carelessly. And trust me, no food causes more confusion among kidney patients than this soft pink fillet that looks harmless on the plate. I remember a patient named Margaret, a 67-year-old retired teacher who came to me clutching her notebook of lab results. Her creatinine had been rising for months, yet she proudly told me, "I eat salmon 3 times a week because everyone says it's the healthiest protein." And she wasn't wrong, she just didn't know the part that really mattered. Because salmon is one of the most healing proteins you can give your kidneys. In just 3 ounces, you get around 20 grams of complete protein, the kind your body uses to repair damaged nephrons and rebuild muscle, so your creatinine doesn't climb simply from muscle wasting. But the real magic comes from its omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, about 1.5 grams per serving nutrients, proven in multiple clinical studies to lower inflammation, stabilize blood vessel function, reduce protein leakage, and slow the decline of GFR. These fatty acids literally slip into cell membranes, quieting the inflammatory cytokines that attack the very filters keeping you alive. For kidney patients battling swelling, fatigue, and blood vessel stiffness, omega-3 isn't just helpful, it's transformative. But here's where things get complicated. Salmon isn't only rich in omega-3, it's also high in vitamin D, around 450 IU per serving, a nutrient most CKD patients are severely deficient in. Without enough vitamin D, the body spirals into a dangerous imbalance. Phosphorus rises, calcium drops, parathyroid hormone shoots upward, and blood vessels start to calcify. Salmon helps interrupt that spiral, restoring mineral balance, so your bones and kidneys don't have to suffer. And alongside all that are powerful B vitamins like B12, B3, and B6, each one helping to strengthen nerves, improve circulation, and reduce homocysteine, a hidden vascular toxin that silently injures the kidneys over time. These nutrients don't just support health, they actively protect the microscopic filters that determine your GFR. And this is the part almost no one talks about, salmon can become dangerous fast if you ignore two critical factors: portion size and cooking method. When I asked Margaret how she prepared her salmon, she sighed and said, "I pan fry it because I love the crispy edges." And right there we found the problem. High heat frying destroys omega-3s and replaces them with ages and oxidized fats compounds that inflame kidney tissue and stiffen blood vessels. Smoked salmon is just as harmful. It's loaded with sodium and nitrates that spike blood pressure and accelerate kidney decline. So we changed her routine, steaming for 12 minutes, baking at 350 degrees, or using foil packs with zucchini and lemon to preserve the delicate oils. 8 weeks later, her swelling reduced, her energy improved, and for the first time in months, her labs stabilized. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I didn't know I was hurting myself by trying to eat healthy, and that's why you should treat salmon with both appreciation and caution." 2 servings a week, about 3 ounces each, using gentle cooking methods, can give your kidneys a level of protection no other meat on this list can offer. But eat too much, pan fry it, or choose smoked, salted, or farm-raised versions, and you might unknowingly overload your body with phosphorus, potassium, and inflammatory toxins. That's the double-edged sword of salmon. It can be your biggest ally or your biggest setback, depending on how you use it. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another factor far more dangerous and far more misunderstood that you absolutely need to hear before your next meal. At the end of the day, your kidneys don't need perfection. They just need consistency, kindness, and the right choices made one meal at a time. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed or worried about every bite you take, breathe for a moment. You're already doing something powerful simply by learning, by staying curious, and by taking steps that your future self will thank you for. And remember, it's never too late to change the direction of your health. I've watched patients in their 60s, 70s, even 80s regain control of their numbers just by choosing their proteins wisely and cooking with intention. If this video has helped you understand your body a little better, I encourage you to save it, because you may want to come back to these details the next time you're planning your meals. And if you want more clear, science-based, patient-centered kidney guidance, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the medical insights that could protect your kidneys for years to come. I release new content every week to help you feel stronger, safer, and more confident in your health decisions. And here's the truth I want you to carry with you. Your kidneys are not giving up on you. Every day they work quietly and tirelessly to keep you alive, filtering, balancing, protecting. And with the choices you make from this moment forward, you can support them, nurture them, and give them the chance to heal in ways you may not have imagined. Stay hopeful, stay intentional, and stay close, because your journey to better kidney health is only just beginning, and you're not walking it alone.